Hello YouTube, it is Cuber once again with a tutorial for my most recent new effect, the G major Trell mix. This is one that I debuted very early in October. I think it was the first week. I forget exactly what day it was. G major Trell mix. This is a variation of G major where the tracks have a lot of dissonance, and what I find very fascinating about this particular version of G major is that, unlike other versions I've used before where it seems like one track has a particularly high volume and sort of dominates the entire mix, it seems like the tracks in Trell mix do sort of even out, and the overall pitch can be very chaotic. So this is a G major I'm quite happy with. It is inspired by some G majors I've seen in the past from other YouTubers, but it is certainly not a direct copy of any of them. It takes a lot from my own G majors as well, particularly deep major. So we are going to see how to put this together. We're going to look at the audio and the video effect. Strictly speaking, it's G major, so it's an audio effect, but I'm going to show you the visuals that I use too. Before I get into the tutorial, I want to make quite clear that the point of this tutorial is not to force you to apply this effect in a certain way. It's not to tell you you're wrong if you're doing it any different way. It's to show you the way I do it so that you can maybe learn something about it, and hopefully this inspires you to make your own effects, but you are certainly encouraged to mix this up and try your own thing. So, we are going to use Audacity to do the audio effect, and Kdenlive later on to do the video effect. So I'll start with Audacity. And Audacity, all we have to do is import any audio we want. It was already opened up to my logos folder. How helpful. Let's do, is Warner Home Video the one? I want to change that, make it alphabetical by name. I want to do Warner Home Video, but I want to make sure it's the right quality. I think this is the one. Oh, no, that's not the one. Why don't I try the one that was in all capitals? Is this the one I want? Let me turn my volume down a little bit. This is just for my purposes. That's so weird. I had one that had pretty good quality. Maybe I'll do a different one. You can really do this with any logo. I'm just trying to pick a good one that would make a good video for me to publish. So I'll do... Let's do Good Times instead. Let's check this one out. Yeah, that one should be good. Alright, so this is just a custom that I usually do. I publish my videos at 48,000 Hertz audio. So I set my project rate to 48,000 Hertz. Then I resample my solitary audio track to have 48,000 Hertz. If you don't make your videos at 48,000 Hertz, then you can skip this step. 44,100 or 44,100 is also very common, and the quality isn't really that much different. So now we're going to actually get into the audio effect. This was just setup stuff. Let's start by applying the normalize effect And we're going to lower the volume of this to negative 13 decibels. Now the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to be mixing multiple copies of this track together. And we don't want the audio to be too loud, because then there's going to be clipping. And maybe you can try putting clipping in it and see how it sounds. But when I make any audio effect that involves multiple copies of the same track, I try to lower the volume enough that there's going to be no clipping. Then we're going to hit Control D 3 times in a row. So we get 2 tracks, then we get 4 tracks, and then we get 8 tracks, which you can't see. But if I go to View, Track Size, Fit to Height, you can see that they're all there. Now we're going to actually apply the pitch shifts. So we're going to be doing this a lot. Change the pitch of the first track without changing tempo to 13 semitones. That's all set. We're going to change the pitch of the second track to 7 semitones, or I should say we're going to change the pitch by 7 semitones. The third track, it's going to be 3. Fourth track we don't touch. The fifth track is going to be negative 3. The sixth track will be negative 7. The seventh track will be negative 13. And the final track will be negative 23. And this is something that came from Deep Major in order to add some rumble, having a really, really deep track. So we're going to focus on this last track. I'm going to try playing it on its own just to see what it sounds like. That is very deep, as expected. So only to this track, we're going to apply a little bit of reverb. I've been using the default factory preset. So all of these are just exactly what you would do if you loaded factory preset defaults. I don't know if this is the best one to use for every video. It usually works well for me. And all this really does is it helps extend some of the louder sounds in this track. Which helps the overall product. When I mix all the tracks together, it helps add some rumble. That's the whole point of that really deep track, is I'm adding rumble. This is something I do in Diamond 3 as well. So we did all the pitch shifts, we added our reverb. Now we just have to mix and render to stereo. We can see, well, this is in spectrogram format, so you can't really see it if it's a waveform, but in spectrogram you can see that we have these lines of audio at the same time, but at different pitches. This is what we would expect when we apply the effect, and I actually think that visually it's kind of cool. Lastly, we're going to apply normalize again, because chances are our volume is a little bit low. We're going to normalize the peak amplitude to negative 0.1. And I just set it to this so that it's basically the loudest it can be without worrying about clipping. Technically, I could do 0, but I think having a little bit of leeway is safer for things like post-processing. So let's wait for the cars out there to go by, and then we will play this to see how it sounds. am quite happy with that. So that is the audio effect. I think it's pretty straightforward for G major. So we're just going to export this as whatever. So let's just call it Good Times, Trell. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And that's it. We're done with Audacity. Actually, I won't bother saving the project because I already exported the audio. That's cool. Now we're going to move on to Kdenlive, and this is where we apply the video effect. Something that always happens is when this window comes on, the screen gets way too small, the preview window, so I'm just going to fix that, set things up so that it looks nice and pretty. And now we're going to take that very same video and let's not set that. Okay, so here's our video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit ungroup clips, and I'm going to erase the audio that was present. So this was a right click to do ungroup clips. Now we can move the video and the audio separately, and I'm just going to delete the audio because we're going to be getting our audio from what we just exported in Audacity. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to transform this so that it fills a wide screen. Again, this is just tradition. You don't have to do this, but I tend not to like these big ugly letterboxes here. And they're still there. So let's give a little bit more and then center it. Let's give it even a little bit more and center it. I think that's good. Center it vertically. Maybe there we go. I think that's good. Maybe I can move this a tad. Yeah. So this is all just adjusting it so that it looks better for widescreen. We're not quite at the video effect yet. And another thing I do that is not specific to Trell, this is just something that I do to make the video look better, is I apply the blur effect, the old blur effect under deprecated, and I set the amount to be really low, and I set the type to be exponential. And all this does is, I make my videos at 8K resolution, but the resolution of most of the videos going into this is very small. So on the off chance you're viewing this on a large display, this just softens it up a bit so that it doesn't look quite as blocky. So again, just a little thing I normally do. But now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, let's actually add Trell. So we're going to need 2 video tracks for this, but I'm going to go one by one. In fact, they're really not that different. The first thing we do is we are going to apply, and I'm going to drag this out so that you can see the names of the effects, is we are going to apply the effect color effect. So in the list of video effects, you can search this color effect, you drag it on. I don't have to do that though because I saved this as a preset, so this was already included in that preset. And the type is heat. The color effect is a very easy effect to use. It's just a list of presets that you can apply that will alter your video a little bit and do funny stuff. And the one that I use is heat. Then we're going to apply Glitch 0R. The person who made this effect actually commented on one of my older videos. I'd like to know what they say about the pronunciation, but I'm going to say Glitchor. And I have made some changes to this effect so that it's a little bit less obnoxious. I don't want the video to be too flashy or messy. I want it to be a little bit glitchy, but not over the top. So it's getting a little bit cut off because of my display settings here. The glitch frequency, well, first I guess I should show you that you would just search Glitchor, drag it on. Then you would change the glitch frequency to 0.250. You change the block height to 0.1. You change the shift intensity to 0.01. And this is the major change between this effect and some older G majors that I've done. I usually have the shift intensity much higher, but even if I set it to 0.1, I find that it can be a little bit obnoxious. So I've made it really low. I've made it 0.1 or 0.01, so that's a lot more subtle, but it's still there. And it kind of reminds me more of TV Simulator in Sony Vegas. There's no great way to replicate that effect in Kdenlive, but this is probably the closest I can get. And the color glitching intensity, I thought I had some color glitching intensity. That's kind of odd. I'm gonna save this and see what I did in my other video. Let's open Paramount. This was the first one I did. So let's see if I had a shift intensity or a color glitching. Okay, that's 0.25. That's 0.0. Okay, I have solved the issue. So let's go back to the one that I was working on before. So let's keep this for now at 0.0. We are going to change it later, but for now, let's keep it. We are going to now duplicate this track. So we're going to want to copy just our video track. Now we're going to paste it into the track above it. And then we're going to apply a composition called matte. This is one that I've used in some of my other G major videos. It makes things kind of red and dark, and it also superimposes a stretched and distorted copy of one of the tracks onto the other. So I think this is a very fascinating effect. When I combine this with heat map, I really like the colors that come out of it. I think they're very scary. So we mostly have the same effects between the two tracks. All we're going to do is we're going to go back to our first track. This is going to be the one on the bottom. If you do it on the one on the top, it may be a little bit too flashy. Let's go to the one on the bottom and change the color glitching intensity to 0.25. And now we have the occasional occurrence of these lighter stripes of color. And I don't know how quickly this is going to play, but let's attempt to preview it to see how it looks. All right. So I don't know about you, but I think that this is a very scary sounding, it's a very scary looking logo. And if I saw this before I watched some knockoff of a Disney movie, I would be very scared and I'd run away from my TV and never watch movies again. So yeah, that is the Trell effect, in and out, audio effect and video effect. Again, feel free to mix this up and experiment. I would love for this effect to be the inspiration for some of your own. Obviously, at this point, if you want to add a logo to the corner of your video, you would just insert a track above V2, but I'm not going to get into that. Waste of time. Otherwise, that's it. Feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comments. And thank you for watching, and have a good day.